Kia ora everyone, it is me, the Morn, and I am here with my own video diary for the 5-whale motion comic. Rob has been doing a lot of them, showcasing the behind the scenes stuff, and I figured it was time I contributed. Since these effects I've picked out or have been asked about take time to make, I figured it'd be easier to make a video diary for each one, to give them each the time and love they deserve. Because After Effects is very crazy if I don't have time to explain it. But today we're going to talk about puppeting. This is something I've done in and beyond and brought into the motion comic for specific scenes, like when Ben transforms, or for intense moments like with the Waybad. And if you don't know what puppeting is, it's basically a form of animation, giving implied emotion to a still image. Think of it like real puppeting, when you put strings onto different parts of it and move the pieces individually. Exactly like that, but in the digital world. So stick around if you want to know how it's done. So, this isn't After Effects, but if you'll stay with me, essentially what you'll first need to do is you'll need to bring in your preferred image. I am doing Slam Pete because he is a good boy. And then we're going to basically break up it into pieces, because a lot of the times you'll get things like, you know, an arm or a hand, or like arm and feet, like behind the body. So you want to break that up so that you can like animate these individually, especially like a hand above the body as well. So I will go ahead and cut out what I think is needed. As you can see, I have removed the arm. So I'm going to remove this, the back leg, this leg, and this arm. I think I'll keep the head on because it's like thick enough as the body that I don't really need to have it separated. But in some instances I have needed to remove the head. For instance, like if they've got an open jaw that I might want to animate, or maybe some head pieces, but Slampede's fine as he is because he's a good boy. So now we have all the pieces we need here, or at least we've got them all chopped out, because we can't start animating quite yet because as you can tell there's nothing behind the body. So when you start animating it, you're instantly going to run into a problem. You basically now just need to fill in the area. As you can see, there's like, you can already see lines here. Make sure that the outline for your things are still black, if you are having black outlines. Basically fill it out and make sure it all looks clean, like a proper rig. So for the body, yep, you'll want something like this. It doesn't matter if there's like slight imperfections, because a lot of it is still going to be genuinely covered up by the limbs, as long as you're not, you know, outstretching them into the abyss. But yep, this is the same we will do, and then you move on to the limbs and just fill up what you can, make sure that the outline is the same, and then you're good to go at the end. Also, a quick note that I just remembered and figured was a very important step is that when you're saving each of these bits and pieces on their own, you have to make sure that they're all the same like resolution and canvas size, because when you place them into After Effects, if it's none of that, then the pieces will be all over the place and you'll manually have to put it back into place. But if you find a way to leave them in the same spot, then they'll automatically slide into place. He has returned to Worm. And then you put everything into After Effects and then the magic can happen. So you'll want to come up here where you'll find the pin tool. Essentially, this is how you do the puppet, like make the puppeting essentially. So I'm going to go to the main body of him, and then you'll want to just put some pins in here for where you think you'll need to do some animating. So you can already see what happens already. Now, word of advice from what I've learned, I think it's best if you don't go overboard with the pins. Sometimes you have to, but most of the time I would recommend just keeping it limited, just the points you need, otherwise it becomes quite a mess and things will bend in really weird ways. So you just really want points of the body that you think will need it. And then you want to do that to the rest of the bodies. And then you'll have puppet strings in all of this. And then essentially what you want to do is, let me do the main body first, is you want to come down to here. When you open it up, you'll see a bunch of things here. What you want to do is to go to Mesh and Deform, and you'll get a bunch of your little puppet bits here. And you'll want to open all of these ones, and you'll see that you have a bunch of keyframes. So then what you want to do is you just want to start making your little animation. First, what you want to do is just move a little bit ahead in the timeline. I'm going to make the first bit 1 second long, and then you just start moving it to how you think you want your little creation to move. As you see, I've got a little something here going on. And something I like to do is I will go ahead and move to 2 seconds, and I'll do another adjustment before I have it loop back to the start, because I think that makes it a little bit more natural and less rigid. And a method I go for is I kind of like to have the keyframes be in a sort of triangle motion, so that way it kind of like circles around and doesn't look as weird. Though if it does look weird, you can always just go back in and readjust it to something you think works a bit better. Yep, and then you play it out. And then what you want to do is you want to copy the keyframes from the start, put them back, so that way you can get your smooth loop. Though I might space these out a bit more because I think he's moving a little too fast for my liking. So you gotta slow down there, Slampede. Slampede? Stampede? Salmon. There we go. I think that's a bit better for him. Now, for the purposes of looping, there are methods to loop keyframes, but unfortunately I can't find a way to loop multiple keyframes at once. So the best thing that I do is I essentially just copy these keyframes and just keep copying and pasting them until it goes out for the entire run of it. There we go. And then you can have your little loop of the body. Very nice. And then you'll basically want to repeat that with all the body parts. You can have the body parts be in time, like perfectly synced with the body keyframes, but I like to have them like a little bit out of sync. So like the arms will be in their own motion, same with the legs, because that way it looks a little bit more realistic than a very robotic movement. Unless you're going for robot, then go nuts. I can't tell you what to do. It looks like I left a bit of the colouring here wrong when I was trying to change the outlines, but thankfully with After Effects you can just edit the file, and once you save it, it will automatically update. So if I do this, there we go. Now it's back to normal. And then when everything is done, you can look at your little animation, as you can see. So you can see that I kept the joints connected to the body at a similar keyframe to the body itself, so that way it's not just drifting and looks weird, but the hands and the feet are out of sync slightly, so that it just feels a little bit more alive, if you get it. So you can stop there for your puppet if that's all you need, but something I like to do to just add a little bit of a bounce to it by putting these all into a pre-composition, going into the effects and looking for warp, and you want to immediately turn that back down to 0, and then you want to go into effects and it's keyframe the bend, move ahead to wherever. I'm gonna go with 2, and either go -1, or if you want to see a little bit more of a bounce, go -2. You can also do 1 and 2 instead of -1 and 2 if you want it to go upwards. And then you go back and you add another keyframe. And by doing this, it's a bit hard to see overall, but giving it that subtle bounce really helps bring it to life, so it's like it's moving the entire body at once. And then when you go back and add the little bounce, as you can see, it moves the entire thing, bringing it to life. And then you can loop that, and to loop that, if you don't want to copy the keyframes, you hold Alt, click the stopwatch, click on this little play button, go to Property, and do loop out, which I am now realizing you cannot see because for some reason OBS. Just trust me. Click the thing, go to a tab that says properties and click loop out type cycle number keyframe 0, which will pop up here, and that will automatically loop your keyframes for you without needing to copy and paste them. And then that's it. You got your little puppet. You can add extra things. You can make glows, you can use masks and stuff to add onto it, you can add an outline, but this is the general puppeting. So if you want to add anything special, that's up to you. But thank you for watching. I will be trying to do some more of these. I still need to figure out which one I want to do next. If there are any effects that you've seen me do in the motion comic, or just anywhere in general that you want to know how they work, let me know. I can do things like particle effects. I know that people want to see Gwen's transformation that I did. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and support the motion comic. I will be back someday.